You know when you've ever been like on an adventure or traveled to unfamiliar areas, you sometimes have a transformational experience, maybe bigger than you could have ever imagined. This is Sequoia Schmidt, and she's pretty much walking the walk to that statement. Born into a family full of adventures, and we're so happy that you're here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You share your new book, but we should say this is your second book, #HumbleBrag. Your first one was about what you went traveling through Pakistan?
Through Pakistan,
So
yes.
let's start with that.
So I actually, my father and brother were killed in Pakistan in 2013 while they were climbing Mountain K2. And in 2015, I saw some remains that were on a promotional video. And so I went through Pakistan, and while I was there, I was really overwhelmed emotionally, so I wrote it into my first book.
And so this second book is a little bit of a different vibe. Similar story in terms of you traveling by yourself, but you're cycling all around New Zealand. Why do that, A, and B, why did you want to share the experience with everybody?
So I'm originally from New Zealand, and I hadn't been back in 10 years. And I was really scared to go back after my father and brother passed away, because there's a lot of painful memories there. And after my trip through Pakistan, I just kind of realized that I could face up to whatever I was afraid of. And so I went back to New Zealand, but I didn't want to just show up on a plane and that be it. I wanted to do something physically challenging, so I decided to cycle the country.
And you went there with the mission of like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to chronicle it and make it into a book. I mean, you just talked about the fact that you traveled alone on purpose. It's very brave. I mean, I don't even go many places alone. You're jet setting across the world. So you went with the mission of, I'm going to document this. I'm going back home, and I'm going to go alone, and I'm going to...
I didn't necessarily think it would become a book. I think I just, as a writer, I'm really inspired by challenging situations. And when I'm emotionally overwhelmed and I'm physically overwhelmed, my natural way to get it out is to write. So it became a book after that. I didn't go with the intention of it being my second book. But yeah, I think that that's a process that it's really important for everyone to take a trip alone. Like you're talking about solo travel, especially for a young female. I think it really kind of allows you to come into your own.
So what are you trying to get out, to bring out here? What are people going to learn? Like anybody, we have a lot of adventurers in the Pacific Northwest. So when they're reading these books, you know, some people might not know about the first one. What are you hoping that they grasp from it?
I mean, I think that everyone can take away from it what they choose. It's a book about adventure, don't get me wrong, but it's also about the process of grief. And it's about what it's like to live with having a tragedy in your life, such as for me, my father and brother being killed. And I think that each person can take a different thing away from this, but it's important for me to portray the fact that coming out of your comfort zone is kind of a necessity, right? Yeah. You need to take yourself out of your comfort zone to kind of figure out who you are and what you want out of this life. And I did that, and you can read about it in this book.
Well, and you have a book signing tomorrow. We should mention you'll be at REI, what, 6 o'clock downtown?
Yep, 6:30 at REI.
6:30.
And then
Show up at
Tacoma.
6 o'clock if you want good seats.
Tacoma after that. Have you done any adventures in Washington?
I have. Last year I climbed Rainier, which was, it was a beautiful climb. It's probably one of my favorite climbs in the U.S. It's absolutely
there you are.
stunning.
That's you.
Oh, yeah, that was my feet,
view.
at least. That was my morning view. We had an alpine start at like 2 a.m. and then made it to the summit by the morning. That's my sunrise on Rainier.
Well, we thank you so much for being here with us, and we're going to leave viewers with just that look was so great, and the book signing tomorrow at REI here in Seattle, and then Tacoma at 6:30.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Chris.